Hello and welcome to the RPG channel. Today I'm going to be addressing something that was asked of me. I've been getting some messages from people periodically and recently who are interested in gaming and would like to game, or maybe they gamed in the past and want to start doing it again, but are hitting the problem of not being able to find people to game with. And this is a problem because when it gets right down to it, these games are social activities, and that at the very least implies, just by the very definition of the word, some degree of socializing. So, despite whatever stereotypes have been running around for the past however many years, these games involve people, and in order to play them, you need people to play with. You know, you're not going to be able to do this by yourself. So, you have to go out and find like-minded people that you can play with. And this is a challenge for a lot of people because it's not something that people can, just necessarily do. If you play pool, then it's not a problem to get yourself a pool table, and you can usually probably find people who will play pool with you. Or if you're into football or whatever, big flippin' deal. You can go to any number of bars, clubs, restaurants, whatever, on game day, or just chill in front of the TV, and the experience is just fine. But if you want to play these games, then you're going to need to find people who you can actually be in physical contact with. And in the same room with them. But that's problematic. So, how on earth do you find people to game with? And from my own experience, the way I did it originally was I started doing this whenever I was in middle school. And relationships are extraordinarily easy to form in a school environment. You are around the same people all the time, you see the same people all day, every day, you don't really have a choice in the matter, so you're going to become friends with them. And you're going to share things with people, like have common interests, so it's really not too hard in most cases to find someone who's interested in gaming, who is gaming, or is willing to try gaming. And even if there aren't already role-playing groups in your school, then there's probably people who at least play Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or whatever the kids are into now, that you can use to jump from one thing to another. And one thing you'll find out about the gaming culture is that there is a lot of cross-pollination between different interests, and you're going to be able to make some pretty broad assumptions about what people might be interested in based on other things that you're interested in, and you'll probably be right at least half the time. Okay, so getting away from a public school type setting, let's talk about college. So you're in college, you're actually in a pretty good situation there most of the time too. I mean, a lot of people are really lonely in colleges, it's hard to meet people in colleges. Sometimes, it's real spread out, you're away from home, you're away from the friends you grew up in high school with, but colleges have a lot of networking options available to their campuses that people in the real world don't really have access to. A lot of campuses probably already have gaming clubs that you can become involved in, and if not gaming clubs, then start checking around the periphery. Check and see if they have an anime club, check and see if there's video game organizations or anything like that. And in all of these situations, you're probably going to find there are already people in the area gaming that you can just hop into their circle with. If not, then you're going to have to take the first step and start recruiting people. And to do that, you're going to need to learn how to run games and introduce people to the hobby and say, hey, this is a really fun thing, we can get together and do this. And one of the good things about being in college is most people are going to probably be on roughly the same schedule. So you don't have to worry about that interference too much. I mean, some people are going to be going home on weekends, some people are going to have jobs, but for the most part you're pretty clear. But now let's move outside of college. This is where it gets really, really difficult, because you're not in a situation where you can just go meet people anymore. You're usually meeting people through your work, and it might not be appropriate in all situations to be like, hey, do you want to come over to my house this weekend? We can pretend to be wizards and fight trolls. Won't work in all cases. But you do make friends through work, and try to feed off that. Now, sometimes the friends you make at work are people that you would not hang out with in your daily life whatsoever, and you're just happen to be stuck in the same building for a few hours at a time, so you become friends with each other. If work relationships aren't an option, then what people used to do was go to the friendly local hood gaming store, which usually isn't as friendly as it was made out to be, but used to, gaming stores were the hub of the role-playing hobby. And if you can still find one that is functioning and actually works, then a lot of them have lists of people who run games in the area, and a lot of game groups actually run their games in the store. So it would be a pretty good idea to check out, you know, if you have a game store in your area, go there, find out what's available, and just start asking around. Like, talk to people who work there if they know of any groups in the area or anything like that. If you don't have a game store, then start looking at comic book shops. If that isn't an option, finally we have the internet. The same thing that has killed the local gaming store franchise thing has done a whole lot to bring people together. On a lot of websites, you can find game lists. Like, people go on there, it's like personal ads, pretty much. Be like, hey, I run this game in this area at this time. If you're interested in joining, let me know. Like, I've never personally used one of these services, but I know they're out there. I believe there's one on RPG.net, and I also know there used to be one on the Wizards of the Coast website, but I'm not sure if that one's still up. So, if you've exhausted all of these other avenues, you are left with playing by post gaming. And I'm not entirely familiar with that, but basically it's gaming over the internet, not like MMOs or anything like that, but you're actually making characters and playing. There's dice programs that can work with these so that you can play whatever rule system you like that way. And for some people I've talked to, that is their only role-playing outlet that they have available to them right now. There was a quote floating around a while back, I don't know if it was Gary Gygax who said this or not, but no gaming is better than bad gaming, and there's a lot of truth in that. But if you're stuck in a situation where you can't have any gaming, then it's really easy to get kind of depressed about that. So that's what's out there, that's what's available. Use your best judgment and do whatever satisfies your own happiness for being involved in this hobby. Like, just remember, it's a game, it's supposed to be fun. So, this has been James with the RPG channel. I will talk to you next time.
Oh god, what would be a good